Hello everybody and welcome to the Week 15 video here on the Rob LaBarbera Show for the 2019 NFL season. And this week we see the return of the Rob LaBarbera Show ticker for game picks, which means up here we are not doing game picks, we are talking about a certain trending, if you will, subject, and that's Coach of the Year. We're going to be talking about who I think is going to win Coach of the Year, other coaches who might be up for it, as well as some of the metrics I use to kind of come to my opinion, as well as why I picked those metrics specifically versus other ones and why I don't like using those other ones for other purposes. So I'm just going to jump right on into it. My pick for Coach of the Year is Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco 49ers. So we'll get back to that. That's who I think is going to win it. He is a name that is going all through national media of who people think are going to win the award and everything. I think there are a couple of stats that definitively show he should win it, and he deserves it. But I'm going to run through some of the other candidates just real quick. Mike Tomlin of the Steelers, who's done an incredible job of just keeping his team in the race and winning games that they might not have won otherwise or that they should win. That's the biggest thing, is Tomlin has put them in positions where they're winning games that they're supposed to win, like last week against Arizona. He's also doing so with a top 5 defense with one of the best turnover differentials in the NFL, but he's doing so without Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, and Ben Roethlisberger, who were supposed to be the big 3 for him this year. I think Tomlin's done a great job of rebounding and getting back into the swing of everything, but he has had a playoff caliber roster for years now. And my thought of this whole thing of why he deserves contention for the award is, if Ben was healthy, I think this is about as good as they would be. And that's with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think it's as spectacular of a job as people are pumping it up to be, but that's because Mike Tomlin is a spectacular coach. I kind of expect this kind of stuff from him, especially, it's usually 2 free games against that team. I think the offense would have needed to provide a little bit more. They rely a little too hard on their defense, and they play to rely on their defense. Like, they almost seem like they give games back to the other teams because they know they have a better chance of winning it with their defense than their offense. No fault at all. That decision is clearly paying off. I just don't think it's a sound decision. That's more of a personal thing rather than a metrics thing. The third coach that I'm hearing rumblings about all over is John Harbaugh of the Ravens, the other AFC North coach. I think that when you look at the Ravens, they've kind of had a resurgence since week 4 with their defense specifically, but that's not what people are talking about. They're talking about Lamar Jackson and that offense, which, I look at that and say that's Greg Roman. That's not John Harbaugh's coaching. That's Greg Roman's scheme. John Harbaugh does not do a lot of ins and outs with that offense. I don't think it's John Harbaugh's doing that offense is as great as it is. Because we've seen this with Greg Roman before with Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo. Again, I'm not discounting the job that John Harbaugh has done. I just don't think it is as impressive as Kyle Shanahan's job, which we'll go ahead and just jump into that right now as well. I have one huge reason why Kyle Shanahan is my pick, and that is he has coached a team that is top 5 in points per game in offense and defense. They are the only team in the league to be top 5 in both. Hello all, Future Rob here. Turns out in the quickness of my haste, I made a mistake, and the Baltimore Ravens are also a team that are top 5 in both points per game and points allowed per game. They are number 5 in defense and number 1 in offense, I believe. The Niners are 2 and 3, only team that's top 3. Nonetheless, I wanted to provide that information for you and let you know that I indeed did make a mistake. And I think they're second in most offensive categories. With Kyle Shanahan, you kind of know what you're getting into with offense. It's going to be an efficient offense. They're going to score when they need to. They're going to get first downs when they need them. They're not going to score on every single possession, but usually when that team needs something, the offense comes through. And he has coached Jimmy Garoppolo perfectly in this play-action-oriented, zone-blocking running system. He's got a flurry of running backs. He's got undrafted rookies out the wazoo. They lost their all-pro left tackle for most of the season, lost their center as well. They've got injuries all over the place. I think I saw they have 25 undrafted free agents that have been on the roster throughout the year. That's insane. He is finding ways to tinker within his scheme to just make it work. And that's why I've always kind of respected Kyle Shanahan as a coach. As a play caller, it's a little bit different. I think he makes inopportune mistakes from time to time as a play caller specifically. But as a coach, he is really great about getting the most out of every single person on his team, and he's got a really great eye for talent, which I think is evidenced in their wide receiver core, which outside of Emmanuel Sanders, so even before they got Emmanuel Sanders, this team was like 8-0. The question I asked myself was, does the casual fan know 2 wide receivers who play for the San Francisco 49ers? George Kittle is a tight end, so that doesn't count. I think the answer to that question is no. I mean, even for myself, that question, the answer to that question for me even was no for a little bit. Kendrick Bourne, Deebo Samuel, Dante Pettis, Marquise Goodwin. Like, these are all names that people don't really know of, that they're not household names. And then Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida. Like, Matt Breida, I feel like, was the name that a lot of people knew. Maybe Tevin Coleman, but Raheem Mostert is starting to just kill it now. The offensive line's been great. I can't say enough great things about the San Francisco offense, which is weird because people seem to always gravitate towards their defense, which the front seven is the best in football. The secondary plays great off of that front seven. They get a lot of really great plays in the secondary because of how good the front seven is. The scheme is great. I just feel like as a team, the San Francisco 49ers have gelled together beautifully, especially coming off of all of these injuries that they've had over the last couple of years. I mean, they were 3-13 last year, I think, because of all these injuries. Garoppolo got hurt right away. I don't know how you don't give it to Kyle Shanahan. He's playing in my opinion, the hardest division in football because he has to play the Seahawks and the Rams twice a year, and then he gets the Cardinals as well, who have played him very closely. But the deal breaker and deal sealer for me is that points per game metric, which to me is the most important metric when evaluating a team. Your point differential lies in here as well. We didn't dive too deep into point differential in this video, but for, like, let's say for instance my head coaching rankings, I looked into it a little bit because in my opinion it's the best tell of how your team is performing. And the example I'll use for that is Dallas, where Dallas is number 1 in yards in offense, but they're 6-7 and are not winning games and are having trouble winning games. So yards doesn't always translate into offense, which I think a lot of pundits, and it doesn't help that when you look up these stats, usually if you look up like who's the number 1 offense in the NFL, it'll give you rankings by yards because that's just traditionally how a lot of people look at rankings. But at the end of the day, yards don't win you games. Points do. Same thing goes for defense. You can give up 450 yards per game, but only give up 9 points because you have great special teams and great red zone defense or something like that. At the end of the day, the only metric that matters, well, there's 2 metrics that matter. One is more of an analytical one, which is the points per game. But the second one that matters the most is wins. Wins. And these 4 names that I brought out, what's the common denominator here? They're all playoff teams. They're all guys who have coached their teams into position to be high seeds in the playoffs. Because even McDermott, if McDermott wins out, they'll win their division and unseat the Patriots. The Baltimore Ravens essentially are the 1 seed in the AFC at this point, because I don't see them dropping a game to the Jets, the Browns, or the Steelers. They might just win out even if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. The Steelers are looking to lock up a wild card in a season where everybody assumed it would be lost, especially since they started 0-3. And the San Francisco 49ers have risen from the ashes and have given us probably the best record turnaround since the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner. I think that was 4-12 to 12-4 or something like that. We're getting 3-13 to, I mean, shoot, they're 11-2 right now. They might be 14-2 by the end of the season. It's the common denominator. You need to look at wins, and you need to look at how they're winning games. That's why yards don't matter. We can't look at yards in this situation. If I score more points than you, I win. on a routine basis, if I score more points than you, 80% of the time, you're going to win. I know there are weird teams that don't fall into that suit. The Chargers always seem to be one of those teams that fall into that, but nonetheless, let me know who your pick for Coach of the Year is in the description. Let me know if you think I'm wrong and I should be looking at yards, or if you think Tomlin should be the Coach of the Year. Let's start a discussion down in the comments. This is a discussion video, but it's only with one person, so the discussion will continue down below. And make sure that you share this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. We got some wrestling videos coming out this weekend. We're going to start doing some NBA videos pretty soon here, probably once the playoffs start for the NFL, as the other teams start winding down their seasons. But nonetheless, the record will be in the ticker somewhere. Twitter will be in the ticker somewhere as well. I hope you all enjoy your week. Have a great week. Hope your team does incredible. For those of you in your fantasy football playoffs, I wish you the best of luck, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much.